Hey neighbor, welcome back to ARTV. My name is John, and it's time for a review of Sour, the debut album by the singer-songwriter Olivia Rodrigo. It seems like overnight she was just all anyone was talking about. I saw the buzz surrounding driver's license because how could you not? It overtook records on TikTok, on Instagram, on YouTube, on Spotify. Wherever you looked, she was just shattering a new record. With popularity comes hate, and I think a lot of people were probably expecting me to hate driver's license or to maybe have disdain for Olivia because of the fact that she was getting so popular so fast. And to that I say I don't want to shut the door on talent. And clearly Olivia Rodrigo has talent. She proves that yet again on this album that actually feels like an album. And one of the most promising things about this young superstar is the fact that she does seem to have an affinity for the album format and also an appreciation for other styles of music, from folk to alternative to pop and rock. It's always exciting stuff when you see a younger artist starting to embrace things that clearly influenced them from an early age. And for Olivia, we have the obvious ones like Taylor Swift that people will not stop bringing up at really every interview ever that I've seen with her. And also the likes of Lorde, that's a can of worms that we're going to get into briefly, but also alternative and pop punk and other acts like grungy stuff from the 90s, which is a more direct influence that I don't see a ton of young artists wearing on their sleeve. You may know Olivia Rodrigo for starring in the Disney Plus show High School Musical, the series. I've never watched it myself, but I've heard some of the songs from it alongside that of her co-star Joshua Bassett. Also a former or else current or on and off again Flame. I'm not sure if they're dating or not, but I have a feeling that a lot of this record is about him. I think a lot of the higher ups at not only Disney, but just the music industry at large probably looked at Olivia and said, dollar signs, cha-ching, we're about to make coin off of this girl. Well, Olivia saw that, and I think she took it as an opportunity to say, yes, I want to make my own music, I want to put my stamp out there, but I also want to do it and write the songs myself and work with the producers that I want to work with. So Sour is not an album that's loaded up with A-list producers, A-list collaborators, anything like that. It's just mainly Olivia and Daniel Nigro, who was formerly in As Tall as Lions. He's worked with other artists like Conan Gray, and for a Gen Z targeted album, I think this might surprisingly appeal to people outside of that demographic. The girl's got potential. It's boiling down to that for me, and that can sound like a cliche answer to give, like, oh, I see something in her future. A lot of it is actually at the doorstep right now. She's on the precipice of actually putting out something great, and not that there aren't great moments here, it's just that the influences, like Lorde for example, I think there's so many moments where she's literally echoing sentiments that Lorde puts out there, except with less great lyrics. They're not as visionary, but I see the similarities and I see the influence that Lorde had, and you can see that as a net positive on the industry overall. I just really hope that Olivia starts to break down more of those walls in the future, because on some of these tracks like Deja Vu, it literally sounds like it should be a Lorde song, except with a little bit more in the guitar and drum department. I wrestle back and forth with these emotions because I'm like, do I like this because it's Olivia Rodrigo, or do I kind of like it or hate it because it sounds too much like Lorde? I just wanted to float that out there because I'm genuinely struggling with this behind the scenes. Like, I can't seem to make up my mind if it's a good thing or a bad thing, and I definitely am landing more on the positive side of the field, but I think there's still a part of my heart that's over here saying, well, I wish she could be a bit more original. To chop, slice, and dice our way into the nitty-gritty of does this album function well or not, I would say yes, despite its repetitive themes that definitely deal with breakups, with insecurity. It's something that teenagers genuinely go through, and I like that she's actually honest enough to put herself in the shoes of not only herself, but the other girls, the new relationship. She's looking at her ex-boyfriend and saying, you did this to me, and now I'm taking it out on your new girlfriend. I shouldn't be doing that. There is maturity, but there's also pettiness, and I think that's honesty, because I think so many teens these days, they're trying to be like 25, 30 before they've even hit age 17. Olivia at 18 is definitely showing a lot of poise, a lot of restraint, but also she's going the extra mile to give us a little bit more insight into how she's actually feeling. Traitor, for example, one of the best songs on Sour. I think this song does a fantastic job of just really ripping a band-aid off of the most sensitive part of your body and then expressing how about this guy that didn't cheat on her but moved on so fast to another girl. What are you going to do with those feelings that are left over and you're left hanging in purgatory? There's breathy, enchanting vocals kind of echoing in the background of this one, Down the Halls, and that's something that you're going to see on other tracks like Happier that I do feel is another big standout for me. I love the writing on that track. But one of the biggest things that I noticed about the way this album is written, and some of the credit of course goes to her producer, but also Olivia as well, she kills a bridge. She does that so well. There's so much build up in some of these songs that don't necessarily get there until the bridge, but the bridge of a song like Favorite Crime sells me on the entire tune coming together. Jealousy, Jealousy kills with its stabby little bass line that slowly evolves into something bigger. I appreciate that this one kind of flipped her scars inside out, the insecurities. One step forward, three steps back, a Taylor Swift interpolation. It actually did a pretty good job at using that piano line there, but my favorite thing about this track in particular is the fact that it's so simple but so raw. And then she puts out that line, "Do you love me, hate me, boy, I don't understand." It can definitely sound like one thing, but the way that she actually sings it, it hits the sweet spot of emotion. Good For You is catchy as hell, although I can't get over how much the verses sound way too much like Lorde, but I love the peppy chorus. I'm never gonna say no to rock making a comeback by a mainstream artist. I obviously already mentioned Driver's License as being definitely deserving of the praise. I think her vocals are tremendous. There's a lot tucked into this one, including the sound effects just of the car starting up at the end, the drive, everything tucked into this one. I can see why this song went to the stratosphere. But more than anything else, I think a lot of people are going to be wanting to know my thoughts on the opening and closing tracks, so let's briefly touch on those. Brutal is the pop-punky rocker that opens up this song that definitely has a lot of 90s influence, a little bit of grunginess to it. It's just the last song that was written for the album, but it was put first. And I think Brutal actually pays off. I like her vocals, the spirit. It's like a temper tantrum unfolding in front of our ears and eyes, and it works so well. Hope You're Okay closes the album by sharing some really somber reflections on friends that have come and gone over the years. She's putting it out there into the universe like, I hope that you're doing well. I hope that you can see that you are more than the hate that was passed on to you, that was done to you unfairly. And it's all done over a very interesting, slow burning build that by the time it closes does a great job. I do get a little frustrated at the fact that the album just kind of fades out unless you're looping the album again, which it might work for, but still, it does feel like a little anticlimactic. Either way, I got more than I bargained for with So if you're interested in a pop artist that's willing to color a little bit outside of the lines, try on some other genres, see if they fit, then Olivia Rodrigo's Sour might surprise you. I'm giving this a light 4 out of 5. Alright guys, that's the end of the review. Thank you so much for watching my thoughts on Sour. Any and all feelings that you're having, share them in the comments section down below. Don't forget to smack that like button on your way out the door. And if you want to check out some recent pop and rock reviews, then tap these cards on screen here. All of my social accounts, including my Patreon, if you want to help fund the channel, are linked in the description down below. And outside of that, I'll be back soon for more on ARTV.